Oh, just like that. Only 38 minutes after we were supposed to start recording, we have Rain Delay Podcast Episode 4. Are you kidding me? Officially the 5th episode of the Rain Delay Podcast. We are going on Instagram. Josh has joined. That means he can really join? Good. Biko Scala here, Josh Talevsky here. We've got Chad Reese that will get in on the Instagram Live as well. I've accepted Josh's invite. Beautiful. And obviously it could not be my fault that we were 38 minutes to start today, right, Josh? Couldn't be me.
No, there's no way. Boy. After I got so much gruff for being late last week, there's no earthly way that anybody else who isn't me would be late to this podcast for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I completely retweet that. Josh, you're looking dapper. For some reason, I continue to think that you're wearing a tuxedo, even though you're not wearing anything close to that.
Not wearing a tuxedo, just a jacket. It's a little cold now here in Savannah. A little too cold for my liking. I'm a warm weather kind of person. I just don't do that well with the whole shivering situation. So I'm bundled up here, even though I'm in the control room, I guess.
Chad Reese, the control room god. It looks like you are a god of the control room right now with this fantastic background you've got going on, buddy.
This is a tapestry from the movie Midsommar. I believe you have avoided seeing it on purpose. But it's
not on purpose, just has it come into my life.
It's got a lot of cool art in it, and I was trying to find a different wallpaper to use. This was already saved on my computer, so here we are. I'm also a little chilly. I got a nice Christmas sweater on today. Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah, Chad decided to pull out an absolute heater for the office today. Boy, it did not disappoint.
And tomorrow we're having a good old-fashioned ugly Christmas sweater competition. And I had multiple people tell me today, Chad, competition's tomorrow, dude. And I'll be honest, I'm offended. I think this sweater's great. It's not ugly in the slightest.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, it's absolutely beautiful, and this is really good podcast content. We're really coming into full swing now that we are in our 5th episode. Josh, you've been chomping at the bit to get a lot of things off your chest. What would you like to start with today here on officially episode 4, our 5th episode?
Look, here's what I know here. So things were getting a little dire for me personally. It's about 4:50. I'm still over at B Road in the office, and
ooh, it's getting tight.
I'm like, oh, they're gonna start yet again a second straight week without me. And
right.
I can't handle that. I can't have it become this recurring shtick that is associated with me on the podcast. So I run out, I throw all my stuff in the car. Guess what happens? I find out as I get in the car, I've left my brush in my desk in the office. I mean, what good podcaster leaves their brush behind? So I have to run back to the office.
You can't podcast without your brush. No.
Grab the brush, and then come back over here. I get in here at 4:59 p.m. And mind you, as I'm running into, the office over here at the stadium, I scare the absolute begonias out of Matt Beezer. Because I'm trying to run in, punch in the code, get in there before you guys start, so we don't have another big thing. And Beezer is walking out at the exact same time, and I scared the daylights out of him. I mean, big gasp, everything, and then we were just cracking up about it. I apologized profusely at least 10 times to him, and I'm probably going to show up tomorrow and apologize at least 10 more times. So, that'll make at least 20 total. Apologies to Beezer. And I get in here.
Seems fair.
I declare to Chad, I go, I'm not late. And I'm ready to start, pulling everything up. And then what happens? Everything's in order. We're ready to go live. And there is somebody who won't pick up. There's somebody who we cannot get in contact with.
Spoilers, it's not me.
Spoiler, it's not Chad and it's not Josh.
Oh, baby. Okay, so to give you my side of the story, at least, I felt like I'd had a very productive day. We've gotten some good meetings in, really cranked through some broadcast notes, and about half an hour before we're supposed to go live, I went to the dentist earlier today, and half my face is still numb. And I'm like, I don't want to go live on the podcast. My face is still numb. I feel like my body needs some expedited healing process here. And what's better than a 20-minute cat nap to get myself back in action? Set 3 alarms at like 4:50, 4:52, 4:55. Boy, oh boy, my body did not want to wake up for those. I've got like 3 voicemails from you guys, slept right through those calls, just absolutely went comatose, and I woke up with my entire face not numb anymore. So it did work, but it worked far too well, and I went under for nearly an entire hour. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how I slept through 3 different alarms of my own. They're all the wah, 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 like just the most grating, horrific alarms you could ever imagine. But I went straight through them as I finally bring Chad into the Instagram Live. And once again, I cannot, I'm cutting off my eyes on Instagram, or I'm cutting off my chin on the YouTube recording that we'll post later. I'm an absolute mess. Cannot figure my life out. 5 episodes in, still cannot get 2 cameras to be on the same page here. And we're ready to rumble. I'm very happy that we were at least able to get the podcast going within about 7 minutes of me being woken from my Rip Van Winkle super slumber.
And I'm gonna just go ahead and pull up some of the receipts here. I think it was 3 phone calls to Biko. He did not pick up any of them. No. I left a couple voicemails. You're going to have a really fun time listening to those. They're very diverse, which
beautiful.
I'm proud of. You know, I kind of went through a couple different themes, if you will. Tried to FaceTime you. You didn't pick up the first time. Sent you the classic, you don't pick up the FaceTime screenshot. Tried to FaceTime you 2 more times. Still didn't pick up.
Right.
And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go a little off the beaten path here. I'm going to try and call Biko via Teams. See if that's the way to get in contact with this scoober. And believe it or not, I was able to get you. You picked up and were there for like 11 seconds. Your camera wasn't on. I heard no audio. And then it shut off. And I was like, that was really spooky. I was like, has somebody hacked the mainframe? Is somebody here masquerading as Biko Scala? And then finally, I'm like, you know what? I'll resort to the classic, the tried and true once again. I'm gonna FaceTime Biko. And what do you know? You picked up, and your reaction is you're just like, what's up, bruh?
Like nothing was the matter.
Biko, like, what time is it? It's 5:30. We're supposed to do this at 5.
Yeah, and I've been really the driving force behind 5 o'clock. Bam, we're recording. Just people are getting out of the office. They can listen on the way home, driving, biking, running, rolling, however they do their afternoon, evening commute. And now 2 episodes into this routine, I am the thorn in our sides. And I think that's just the beauty of the Rain Delay podcast, is you never know who's going to be the rain delay. But so far, it's just Josh and I, and my rain delay was far more destructive than Josh's.
I get the feeling that Chad will never be responsible for the delay in
anything's
rain
possible.
delay.
So. Don't count me out.
I don't think so.
I'm just one of the boys.
Kevin Garnett infamously said, anything is possible.
Correct. Also repeated by The Lonely Island in I'm on a Boat, in that legendary digital short. It's great to see people in here on Instagram as well. I gotta say hi to old Ziggy. It is scary that Split said that he is in the walls. I'm guessing it's your walls, because Split, I don't think, made it up to Jersey City, and you guys are still in historic Grayson Stadium. That kind of feels like where Split lives anyways. We got old Sharky on here, Connor Grillo. Oh my gosh, Steve Kellogg. I mean, this warms the heart, and this is why we simulcast, just like a Manning cast of this broadcast, except for the broadcast is exactly the same as far as content. Just you're looking at the bottom of my face instead of the top of my face, and you don't get Chad and my exclusive juicy backgrounds. Boy, it's wonderful. Steve Kellogg, yeah, I'm Gonna Boat is a wonderful song. It's probably my favorite song for like a couple weeks of my life. I couldn't believe how good it was. I mean, T-Pain comes in there and just wraps it all up, singing about Poseidon and such. I was a big Lonely Island fan. I was such a big Lonely Island fan in 7th grade that in art, the last year that I ever took art, because it was mandatory, I made like a cup with 4 sides on it, and I put SNL on one side. I put Chex Mix on the other side because I liked Chex Mix so much at that time, apparently. I put the New York Yankees on another, and I put Lonely Island as the 4th side of this little like porcelain mug that I made in 7th grade art, and it's still sitting on the farm in Mount Marion up in Saugerties, New York. So it always amazes me that I was so impassioned by Andy Sandberg and his 2 pals that I inscribed them in history on what could turn out to be a relic discovered eons in the future. And people will look and say, what were the 4 major entertainment and just really powerful companies? And they'll see the Lonely Island, SNL, the New York Yankees, and Chex Mix, and say those were the 4 horsemen of what turned into being the apocalypse, which is why this thing ends up being buried underground. Yeah.
If you can have your mom send us
this is where my mind has gone.
I absolutely need to see this. See, like the first 3 I could get, SNL, Yankees, Lonely Island, like sure, yeah, like, but Chex Mix is really the one where I'm interested in this. This is...
It's not losing me at all.
No,
I love
Chex
Mix.
I love Chex Mix as well. I'm just saying,
it's so good.
Like the fact that you are so compelled as to be like the 4 things in my life that define me, and Chex Mix is one of them. Like, you know, I'm glad that you knew yourself so well.
Yeah, the 4 pillars of my being as a middle schooler, at least in 7th grade. I mean, Chex Mix and Lonely Island had to be where I was kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, I'm like, oh, this is going to be 4-sided. SNL, love it. Yankees, that's been my life for as far back as I can remember. And then I really liked Lonely Island and the snack Chex Mix enough that it made it into the vaulted 4. It's like a beautiful time capsule of what was going on in my mind. Carry the one, I don't know, like 15 years ago. That's scary.
I think we should bury it and have people dig it up in 60 years.
That's what I'm saying too. Like, I want to put it in some kind of, protection, like a legitimate time capsule. And I only want that to be in the time capsule. Maybe like a picture of me at the time in a wrestling singlet. And then nestle that right in there.
That's going to be really
modified
cool.
Wrestling action.
I like that.
I mean, I would. That's treasure. I've turned my art into treasure, and the only thing that could turn my art into treasure is some kind of absolute disaster where there's no other art found from the 21st century but mine, because I've time capsuled it, and all of a sudden, I'm in whatever the version of the MoMA is in the 2300s, with this beautiful little porcelain mug that I sketched together with my unartistic being. Just pour all of my lack of artistic skill into this thing.
Yeah, I've got 2 questions that immediately come to mind for me, kind of on this topic of conversation.
Should be in the broadcast booth. I see in a comment. Yeah.
I'm gonna pose this to both of you guys. My first question is, what is the best part of the Chex Mix?
The Chex cereals that are like loaded in the powder, easily.
Ooh, so I love the Chex cereals. They're very high on it, but those little like
Rye
bread,
chips.
the thing that they call bread, that is just like correct, the rye chips.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, it's basically just croutons. That's what rocks my world in Chex Mix.
I'm a rye chip guy through and through. Completely agree. Chad,
Okay.
so essentially me and Biko have told you you're wrong.
Right.
And now,
All right.
part 2.
Dang.
I think this is mainly
Get
more
wrecked,
of a
Chad.
Chad. This is mainly
Okay.
more of a Chad question, since we've
Oh.
kind of gotten to hear from you, Chad. If you're making
Yeah.
a time capsule to remember your childhood that you would hope people would dig up and discover, what would you be placing in your time
Okay.
capsule?
Specifically for my childhood, or just for me?
Just, I guess, your
Okay.
adolescence, really whatever you
Seventh
prefer
grade?
here.
Do you also want it to be seventh grade?
Seventh
like
grade.
That
Okay,
exact
that's
period
Yeah,
of
fair.
time?
let's stick to
That's
7th grade. I
fair.
love that.
Because that's pretty
so,
classic.
It's gonna definitely be a first and foremost a Ventolin inhaler, because that's always on me. I keep that thing on me at all times. I stay strapped. I'm ready for any situation. So the Ventolin inhaler, that one easy.
And you're still strapped. That's something that hasn't changed
always.
since 7th grade. Yeah, it's a core part of your being.
And then
Okay.
after that, I'm gonna say a Nintendo DS Lite.
Oh, nice.
I
What
had
color?
the
I was a big
dopest
DS guy.
Legend of Zelda, the Phantom Hourglass Special Edition. It was like a weird kind of greenish gold with like a tiny little Triforce in the corner.
I played the Phantom Hourglass.
That was my prized possession.
Yeah.
So that is definitely in there with a copy of The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass.
Okay. That's a nice 2-for-1 there.
You see, but I don't.
I think it can come with a game.
I think I'll just
That's
put like
fair.
a Triforce on my hypothetical
overruling
mug
that.
here. Just because
What
it's
is
like
a
the three triangles that are on
Triforce?
top of each other. They represent power, wisdom, and courage.
Oh,
Correct.
In
You
Zelda.
just beat the game.
Okay, so yeah, I know, and I did beat the game back then. But that was the first Zelda game I actually ever played. My dad and I kind of just both chomped into it whenever we could. But a lot of Google. There
Yeah.
was a lot of
That
Googling
one,
my way through that
I,
game. I mean, like sometimes there's just like a pot you got to smash to get random things in to get through a room. Like it was kind of
I'll
nonsensical, but I
complete your
loved it so
question
much.
after this quick tangent, Josh, because I also was
Okay.
stuck for a very
Yes.
long time on that game, and I gave up. And I found out that there is a section where, basically, and I'm sorry for this tangent, but got me started, Josh. That game allows you to have a map on your bottom screen, because the Nintendo DS stands for dual screen, 2 screens. You get one on the bottom, one on the top. You're playing the game on the top, and your map is on the bottom. At one point, your map is completely blank,
Good knowledge.
and you have to get your map to figure out where to go. And you find a casting of it on the top screen. And the solution to this puzzle is you have to close your DS and then open it back up. And it prints it on the bottom screen. I had no idea
How
that
insane
you had
is
to
that?
do that. And
I remember that. I remember that.
It made me so sad that I had no idea what to do. I remember giving up on the game, and my brother told me like weeks later that. Anyway,
Yeah. See, that's where I turned to Google. Okay. So we have
Yep.
a Nintendo DS with Zelda Phantom Hourglass
And an inhaler.
Special Edition, and it's a DS Lite. Okay, you've got your inhaler, and you have still 2 more things. Did you put the Triforce on there, or the Triforce
it's
is
on the DS,
DS?
and if I'm having to represent it on a mug,
Okay.
it's like you were, I would probably just put the Triforce.
100%. Yep. It's on like the screen. You're drawing a DS, and that the Triforce is on the like it's
Sure,
flipped
let's go
open
with
on
that,
the
yeah.
screen.
Okay. And then I'll get a snack in there too,
gonna be a
because I
tricky one to
definitely feel like I was
create here.
defined by a snack
Okay.
at this era, and that was 100% flavor blasted goldfish.
Oh, nice.
Love those
Delicious.
things. Still eat them to this day. I like to put them in a cup and just kind of throw them back. So and
Yeah.
then
Better than
finally,
original Goldfish.
in 7th grade, let's see, what was I really into at that time?
it's tricky because I never would have guessed. The New York Yankees and maybe SNL is the only two things I would have guessed if I had to do this exact little game here right now. That's the beauty of having this bizarre little trinket from
maybe
back
there was
in
like
time.
a weird hyperfixation that I don't necessarily really hold on to now.
Right.
But at the time, it was my everything.
Yeah.
So, because of that, I will say that my fourth and final piece of this mug / time capsule would be
Correct. Hey, from England, Dalton Malden's #1 fan. Okay. Did that spark any... Did finding out that Dalton Malden's #1 fan is watching from England spark some creativity?
I'm blanking.
Did it give you a, whoa, that's right, I would draw Dalton Malden on the mug because he was my favorite musical artist in 7th grade.
I'm blanking on something.
I don't think he'd created a
deep
song at
cuts.
that
I'll
point in
just
time.
put my boy SpongeBob SquarePants on there because he was my everything.
Always strong.
If we're talking a physical item, probably some kind of toy that I of SpongeBob. I had many SpongeBob things.
Yeah, and you could draw that toy on this porcelain
I like
mug.
this
Okay, Josh, I would love
exercise,
to turn
Josh.
this
Let's see
right
what
on
you
you.
Okay. First off, mine's going to be pretty similar to kind of your Yankees. I'd probably just put a bunch of Atlanta Braves baseball cards in there. Kind of kills a couple birds with one stone. Like, just
Okay, so this
baseball cards.
is a time capsule.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you're putting actual baseball cards in there.
Yes, of the Braves variety. That's my team, and I just had cards out the wazoo, you know?
Naturally, me too.
I'm probably going to go with rec specs. Because when I was playing athletic events, I only had glasses at the time, and when I actually had to play sports and be active, it was a better idea for me to be wearing the rec specs to protect myself.
Like a young Amari Stoudemire.
Yeah, or Mark Lemke.
Right, or Brock Holt.
Or Chris Sabo.
Correct. Those are all possible. Those are all great possibilities right there. Okay. Terrific. Rec specs. I had to wear rec specs my senior year of high school, and they were these like red racing rec specs that were really chunky. And boy, oh boy, did I look silly playing baseball in those because I had gotten pink eye and couldn't wear contacts with pink eye. Okay. Terrific. So we've got rec specs. You've got Atlanta Braves baseball cards. This is 7th grade.
Yeah, I feel like I should probably stray towards some kind of snack, keep things even, and everything like that. Mine is not going to be. Here. Mine's not going to be a food. I think I'm going to go with a beverage. 7th grade Josh was drinking lots of Dr. Pepper. That guy
Fascinating.
loved Dr. Pepper. That guy's coming home.
Dr. Pepper is ageless.
That guy's coming home from school and drinking 2 Dr. Peppers. He's a maniac.
That's too many. That is too many Dr. Peppers to have every day after school.
7th grade Josh cares?
It's not good. It wasn't good. I have, and to be honest,
moly.
like, I would drink a couple Dr. Peppers and still take a nap. Like, that was what was insane. It just didn't give me, like, all these jitters and just, like, I'm going to run around the field for 3 hours. Like, nah, I'm drinking 2 Dr. Peppers and then falling asleep.
Day well done.
Oh, goodness. The last one I'm conflicted on. Because I could go with just something pretty standard, or I could go with something a little more embarrassing.
Right, like what's your lonely island? What is really obscure that your 7th grade self actually was in love with?
In love with? I'm not sure, but something that 7th grade Josh had to be obsessed with at the time was remembering to put the rubber bands on his braces. And so I might just stick a pack of those little rubber bands in the time capsule.
Well, now, I had braces for a year, and I had it when I was in eighth grade, a little less than a year actually. I kind of cruised right through them. I never had to do anything with the rubber bands myself. Were you taking them off? Did your orthodontist tell you that you were supposed to be taking off and putting on your rubber bands? I've never heard of somebody taking their rubber bands into their own hands when it comes to braces.
Yeah, you got to wear your rubber bands essentially anytime you're not eating, and then you take them out when obviously when you eat, and then after you're done with your meal, you gotta go get your little bag and put your rubber bands back in, because hey, you got to get everything aligned and be looking right. Hey, luckily it kind of worked out, I think, you know?
Dude, I hated those, dude. I actually completely forgot that was even a part of the braces experience until now. I kind of blocked that out of my mind, and I'm kind of like feeling that awful sensation again in my mouth, like I have some kind of like spring on my jaws that I can't like fully extend. I always wanted to like stretch it as far as possible and like pop those things off. I hated them.
Pop them off and take a big old bite out of Josh, Chad. Free yourself. Take a big old bite out of Josh.
By the way, if you guys couldn't tell, I wasn't very cool in 7th grade, but, you know, that's just a little side.
Josh drinking Dr. Pepper, wearing his big rec specs and putting his rubber bands in his braces
with rubber bands, showing his baseball cards.
Yeah, it's a pretty hilarious combo, I've got to be honest. And then when you actually look at a picture of 7th grade Josh, boy, that really just brings it into full circle. I thought braces were pretty cool, honestly. Like 7th and 8th grade, that was the cool time in my life to have braces. A lot of the cool kids had them. We all really cared about our colors, you know? It was a big thing. Also, I was way too cool to ever take out the rubber bands. Which is part of why I completely had blocked that part of my memory out, because I never once did it. And they told you not to eat gum or eat bagels and cream cheese and stuff, and I was doing all that with the rubber bands in. And still only had like 10 months of braces in my life. The only real downside of braces was I had to wear, what do you call those jobbers? A mouth guard for wrestling.
The retainers and whatnot.
Boy.
Yeah.
Well, I also never once wore my maybe wore my retainer like 3 to 5 times to bed, and then never did that again.
And I think it did have some negative impacts on my smile. Now there's a bit of a part that doesn't really connect.
Yes, I think the lack of wearing a retainer at all, really truly, 5 times like just isn't going to do anything. That's kind of you're supposed to do it like all the time, or at least every night at bed. It definitely gave my smile a little bit of uniqueness that the braces were trying to take away. You know, it's got a little pizzazz that if I had been wearing my retainer all the time, it would not have. And I personally don't hate it. I respect it, and I respect high school, middle school Biko for saying, I just don't care to wear this. But boy, oh boy, did I make a lot of decisions that future Biko couldn't possibly understand. Well, future Biko completely understands the consequences. Past Biko couldn't understand the consequences for future Biko, or just did not care. But yeah, braces were cool. I don't know if that was just like an upstate New York thing, but it's not like you had to have braces, but it was not a negative for a couple years to have braces. It was like a rite of passage.
No, when I grew up in the sticks, man, you were a nerd if you had braces. You were gonna get bullied. You weren't cool. You weren't popular. And by the way, you're talking about never taking off those rubber bands. This feels like a joke that is written for an It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode. Were you just consuming? Were you swallowing and eating rubber bands if you weren't taking them out? Were you eating your rubber bands?
I mean, I don't think I was. If I was, I didn't know I was. But I never, went back to the orthodontist and they're like, hey, where are these 3 rubber bands? And I was like, oh, I probably ate them. I feel like that would have been a problem. I think they just stayed on my braces.
That's
Bruce
crazy.
Ziegler said railroaded if you had them in my hair.
Yeah, you got called train tracks and really, really mean names, you know?
I never heard train tracks directed at me or anybody in my life. when it came to braces. But it's, Saugerties we're right next to Woodstock, New York. It's a pretty accepting place. I mean, there's definitely bullying being had, but it was just a little.
All right, guys, I'm getting tired of having flashbacks to 7th grade. I'm already like realigning my jaw while I'm not talking. I want to get to reality where I am comfortable with my body, and I want to start that by Josh. I need to hear about this wedding that you went to this weekend, because I have refused to talk to you about it for the past 2 days because I've been waiting for this moment now.
Because you want to hear it on the
natural
podcast.
Reaction.
It's really good coordinating producing by you, Chad.
I mean, what are you looking to discover, Chad? Like, what are the main things on your mind about this thing?
I just like some spark notes, I think.
Okay, man.
Yeah,
I'll tell you about mine if you tell me about yours.
Just an honest honest retelling of everything.
Anything you feel sharing?
Yeah,
Okay.
Just let us into your life, Josh. We just want to be in your life.
Okay. Yep. I can get vulnerable around you guys,
Good.
So this wedding was actually in my hometown, which made it really easy. I just got to stay with my folks for like 2 days, which
That's
rocked.
Fun.
And let's see. I show up to this wedding and I see a bunch of my friends from college, which is really great. I see all my old roommates. We hug, we laugh, we cry.
Cried.
The works. And then I sit down and I take part in this wedding, or at least viewing it. I'm not in the wedding. That's way too much pressure for me. I just don't know if I'm ready to be in people's weddings yet.
You have not been in a wedding yet?
No, I have not.
You're a few years behind us. That place. Okay.
I'm still spry,
Right. I've only actually been in one wedding, and I was
that's
13, and it was my dad's. But anyway, this is your story. This is your wedding you attended this weekend. I'm sorry for jumping in there.
I'm sitting down, and the wedding starts and everything, and dude, I'm just not good at weddings, man. Because the minute everybody starts walking down the aisle, and especially when you know people really, really well, which, I knew a lot of the people here very well, very close friends of mine.
You're crying.
You see the way everybody interacts with each other and whatnot, especially the groom, and man, you're just tearing up, man. You can't help it. I get so emotional. I love seeing the way that people look at all their friends and all the meaning that this has to them, and especially when the bride comes out as well. Just see the love in their eyes, man. It's a really beautiful thing.
I'm about to tear up right now just thinking about it.
Freaking gets
I'm on
me.
a back-to-back crying streak in ceremonies at weddings. So anyway, continue.
It's the beginning of weddings that make me cry. I don't really cry through the other parts, but it's the beginning of the weddings that really make me cry.
Well, yeah, I'm not crying during the reception, but
I would hope you're not,
I could cry at any point during a ceremony, and I have. And I will in the future. Okay.
Yeah.
Terrific. So it's emotional. It's beautiful for you. A lot of people you care about are here. Someone you care about, maybe two people you're caring about are getting married. This is a good start.
Yeah, I was great friends with the bride and groom, so that was pretty special. And it was just a beautiful wedding. Weather was actually really nice. It wasn't very cold, and we were outside. It was overlooking this body of water. It was beautiful.
A lake? A pond?
A pond. I would say a pond. Yep.
Pond, classic Madison, Georgia. Okay.
So really nice wedding, and then you go through the whole ordeal of you have the rings and you share some thoughts, and then
that's how it works.
Repeat after me, and then finally you get to kiss the bride and whatnot. Well, the groom gets to.
Josh,
did you get to? No, the wedding guests aren't supposed to do that.
Whoa!
Trust me.
Those weddings in Madison are a little different than up here in New York.
Oh, right. And we all get dismissed, and then we're just chatting it
After
up and everything like that.
Right.
And we had a nice little cocktail hour for I don't know, It was more than an hour, actually. So is it really a cocktail hour, or is it a cocktail hour and 45 minutes? Riddle me that, Batman.
I'd say the latter. The latter, right.
And then finally, it's time to go in and eat dinner and, watch the whole parties come in and celebrate and do their thing. And
yeah, classic.
Get your food,
eat
kiss
dinner.
the bride
again.
Yeah,
right.
You definitely did, Shocker. Wouldn't have put money on that one.
Oh, he did, but you didn't.
No.
You didn't. Okay.
No, dude.
So you
That'd be
only
crazy.
kiss the bride during the ceremony. Once you do the kiss, you are dismissed, and then throughout the reception,
Right,
no
we
more
have Southern
kissing the bride.
hospitality.
I think you're getting really confused. I am never kissing the bride at weddings.
I thought you said everybody kissed the bride.
Nope, never.
Okay, well, we'll run the tape back. I'm pretty sure everybody does, but that's okay. You've got the reception now. You've had your hour and 45 minutes of cocktail hour. You're seeing all the big celebrations. People are coming through. They do the cute little rehearsed jobber. You get some dances. You had some first dances, I'm guessing.
Yeah, saw the dances.
Okay.
We all were
Terrific.
we were all able to get food after that and everything. We had assigned tables, but my table was incredible. Like they knew exactly who I wanted to sit with. It was really wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Just had a grand
that's
time
just-
cracking
Yeah.
jokes and whatnot, catching up on life. It was
beautiful.
real swell. And then finally it's essentially it's time to dance, It's time for everybody to dance, and you also watch the bride and the groom cut the cake, and you can get some and everything. So, they're
Oh, you got some.
starting to rearrange the room with the reception and
Okay.
clear out the tables so that everybody can dance and everything. And this was like the really weird, just the weird part of the wedding for me. I don't get it. I really don't get it. So
It wasn't weird when you all kissed the bride.
That's
This is
normal,
when it gets
Biko.
weird.
this is the part where it gets weird after you eat and everything.
Okay. When did it get bizarre?
So I was thinking I might go up and get a slice of the wedding cake. I was still feeling a little.
Yeah, you
want
wanna get some. You're at a wedding. You're trying to get some.
And a friend of the bride who I had met at. They did a little party and celebration after this couple got engaged that I was at.
Right.
And so
okay.
there's this friend of the bride who's at the wedding, was also at the engagement party, and she's like,
Yeah, that's what they call those.
she's like, "Oh, I remember
boy.
you." And
Nice.
yeah, it was good, and she was with another friend. So I'm standing here and I'm talking with these two ladies.
Okay, Josh, you sly son of a gun.
Hey, just hold on here, okay? I said things get weird.
I know. That's why I said you're a sly son of a gun. Okay.
So she's
Do
like,
continue.
I remember you. And she was like, I
Right,
remember we were talking at the engagement party, and we were telling you that you reminded us of our friend that we grew up with named Josh. And she was like, but I don't remember your name. Like, can you remind me? And so I was like, funny you say that. My name's Josh. I'm Josh. And she was like, oh, that's right and everything. And she's like, that Josh that we were talking about is here at the wedding. Have you met him? And I'm like, no. And also nobody's introduced me to this chap. So like, I'm real sorry this hasn't happened. And then the two of them are just chiming in that they're like 3 or 4 different people named Josh at this wedding. To which I decide I'm going to quit back and be like, yeah, it's always great when the council of Joshes, some of the members, can get together in this type of setting.
Right.
And
It's classic. It's a go-to right there.
yeah, and they're talking to me about this council of Joshes, I guess, and they're like, oh, do you guys are you familiar like with this council of Joshes? Is this like a legitimate thing? And I'm like, oh yeah, we get together, we meet, we've got some groups, we chat and whatnot. And I don't know where it started in the conversation, but I'm losing them in some capacity really don't know why. And they're like, "Oh yeah, do you guys get together in person and have these like big meetings and get-togethers?" And I'm trying to show a little bit of wit, maybe some charm in there. I'm like, yeah, it's actually very much like the Olympics. We get together every 4 years and do this type of thing, It's a really cool, cool kind of experience. I was like, usually we do it pretty bare bones, but, next year, we're actually going to meet in 2024. We're going to meet in Denver, and they're getting us a conference room, We're going to do like a hotel conference room. And from there, this whole conversation's going off the rails. I think they wanted to get out of it. They weren't really picking up on it anymore. And it just fell by the wayside really, really fast. And I can't tell if this was a me thing or not,
So this is the other two Joshes who you're losing, or these are other people on the outside of your make-believe council of Joshes?
It's
that
those
are
two
not tracking.
It's the two ladies who have told me that I look like their friend
Okay.
Josh, that I'm talking to about this council, and I'm just losing them.
You tangented them out. You went too far.
I guess so.
Is what happened.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be too far for us or for a council of Joshes, which I would say Chad and I kind of feel like honorary Joshes. I don't know. I don't want to put that out there without a Josh confirming it, but I feel like we have enough kinship that, like, at a Josh conference, we could come in and like host a panel of what it's like to work alongside a Josh.
Yeah, I could be okay with being a
that'd be really
speaker
swell
of some kind. I don't want to represent the Josh community because that just feels rude. But I'm an ally.
Right. I don't think I would.
Yeah.
I'm definitely an ally of Josh's. I always yell at people when they say they're joshing around. I say you cannot take Josh's
take my name in
vain.
Updated term. Let's get past that one,
Correct.
guys. There's so many better words to use.
And that's pretty much all you have to do to be a Josh ally, as far as I know. Unless Mr. Talevsky, you have other things there. I would say I don't think you did anything wrong. It's just you didn't realize you had the wrong audience for your in-depth Council of Josh's tangent story, Imagination Land journey. You never know. I mean, there's probably beverages involved at this joint, and some people, once they've had a couple beverages of a certain kind, can't track such a beautiful imagination like your own. It's tricky. It's tricky at these weddings talking to people you don't know.
So the two things that are worth noting here, I guess, as we get to the bottom of this is
okay.
I'm going on I went on a little bit of a tangent, but I didn't just talk for like 3 and 4 minutes straight. Like, I obviously was trying to have some back and forth here and just continuing to like quit back more than anything. As
it's a conversation, not a lecture.
Whole thing.
Right.
And then you would say that, their beverages and people maybe aren't following. This wedding that I went to was a dry wedding. Which I was kind of surprised. I was kind of surprised about it. It was a dry wedding.
Whoa!
I almost think maybe the beverages would have helped.
I think so too. See, you said you had like an hour and 45-minute cocktail hour, though. I thought it was like refreshments.
It was like cocktail foods, but there were no cocktails.
It was all just shrimp cocktail.
Yeah,
You're right, Chad. Zach Frangelo would have hated this wedding. Fascinating. Yeah, I don't judge. To each their own. You have whatever kind of wedding that you would like.
See, I totally thought you were just buzzing, and that's why you were just rambling like that.
Yeah, I
your
figured
hour
you were
45
goofy,
hour,
and you had
just going.
Correct. On possibly mostly like an empty stomach, I'm like, oh, Josh is really out here getting creative.
It's just being Josh.
Yeah, I will. I think a core part of my imaginary wedding is an open bar. Like, if I'm not having a wedding in my life until I have the means to know that there will be an open bar. So it's just a core tenet of my life. But a dry wedding, I've never been to one. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was just going at this stone cold sober thinking that, I was doing all right, It's just, I guess I don't know. Maybe it's asking too much for like witty banter at weddings or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I think a wet wedding, which has been all the weddings that I've been to, it just makes, I think it makes it, you get a little lubricated. It's a little easier to talk to folks maybe you haven't seen in a long time, or you don't know. Like when you're celebrating and you mess with your brain a little bit, I think it's like it inspires a cohesiveness, Like I feel like the later you get into a wedding and the more beverages you've had, the more you feel at one with everybody, whether you know them or not. And you're like, you've gone through this amazing moment and celebration of these people that you love, their lives. And then you're also goofy. And then that really makes it cut loose. It would really affect my dancing performance if it was a dry wedding. Like, it just changes everything for me. Not everything, but a lot. It changes a lot. I think that's a lot of people would say that too. How was your dancing
performance?
Yeah, I danced a little bit, but I didn't dance a ton. I just kind of picked and chose. And really, that I guess is a nice little summary of this wedding that I attended. And I think the main takeaway at the end of the day when we talk about this wedding is, I'm not meeting the one. It's just. That's life.
You thought you were going to meet the one at this hometown dry wedding, or you thought maybe it's a possibility, or you would see something that could be the one, even if your paths will never cross again. But you didn't. There was.
Sometimes you just want to have that conversation with somebody and feel that spark again, and it didn't happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, until you find a woman out there that can track and bounce back and forth with you about the Council of Joshes, you have not found the one,
It's what I'm led to believe, people who can talk about the
Council of Joshes. It's a great litmus test. Yeah.
Putting astronaut on your future resume and things like that. Yeah, it's that kind of conversation that I want to be having in life.
James said the worst wedding he's been at, they banned children. Turns out kids make weddings fun. Kids make weddings fun. I don't think they're necessary in my experience, but they are cute, and they added, you kind of want kids. Although I think Barry and Katie's wedding, I don't think there were any kids at that, and boy, it was a kick-butt wedding.
I think this was the opposite of a dry wedding.
Oh, yeah, Barry and Katie's? Are you kidding me? Holy moly. First, as soon as the ceremony was over, Lauren and I were first in line at their open bar. So there was nothing dry about it. In fact, as Bruce would say, it was moist. I'd also just like to get it out there that just seeing Bruce and Jeff and Steve and James chopping it up in the comment section, it warms my heart. I mean, this is a big reason why we're doing this, There's a bit of interaction with a lot of the people that we love out in the world that we don't live near and we don't have anymore because we're not broadcasting, 2 to 3 banana ball games every week. And it just warms the heart. I also watched the most recent 2 Bananaland episodes today, and Bruce Ziegler, in that Staten Island episode, just an incredibly heartwarming performance. Really good Ziggy content with the trick shots, and it warmed my heart to see.
We were busy last night. I didn't realize they were shadow dropping another episode, so we're behind. I'm behind, at least. I don't know about Josh, but I wasn't able to attend last night's. I wasn't able to watch.
I also missed the episode that debuted last night because of the little live stream we did for the K Club, and because we also did beer and carols last night.
Josh and I had a ton of fun.
Oh, that's right. Oh, some burgers and beers and carols. A very moist experience at Coach's Corner. That's what you love to hear right there. You guys had a blast.
Great Burger Scooper Wednesday. Really glad that the tradition carried on.
I could use Burger Scooper Thursday.
ZB unfortunately couldn't make it again, but we decided that this one was more important. He gave us his blessing, and we were on our way. There was a much bigger group of people there at Coach's Corner singing Christmas carols and drinking beer, and it was a great time. We had a great time. I loved it. Josh was really getting into the carols. I didn't know.
I love group sing-alongs.
does.
I'm a sucker for them, you know? It's just a good way to fire me up.
Couldn't agree more. My evening ended up being delightful as well, as I declared at the end of our K-Club panel, talking about the new players. I did, in fact, cook myself a ribeye. I think it was the first time I ever pan-fried a ribeye before. Cooked some broccolini as well to go along with it. Baked a couple sweet potatoes. I am really reaching my peak as a chef in my life. And it just, it really warms my heart as well, that just making good food. I found a love for it. It's satisfying. And then you clean it all up afterwards and you got your kitchen spotless by the end of the night. You turn into bed. I'm really turning into an adult. It's scary, but
it's
boy,
something,
oh boy.
but I'm glad you're taking pride in it.
Yeah.
I really love to hear that. I feel the same way when I
Romantic.
cook sometimes, especially like when it's chicken wings.
I still haven't made chicken wings in my life, but someday. Yeah, I've got some shrimp I might cook up tonight. That's a possibility. I've also got some tofu that I could get after. So the world's really my
I do like a good
oyster.
crispy fried tofu. That stuff actually is very, very, very good.
Yeah, I just, by the way, oh my gosh, bury the lead. Chad visited me in Manhattan on
that was
Monday
a great
night.
time.
And we had a delicious Korean dinner in Koreatown. Just kind of, I didn't even realize that's where the path ends at 33rd Street. And boy, I mean, I don't want to continue to pound away at heartwarming events here, but you want to talk about something that warmed the heart. Seeing our darling Chad in Manhattan and just walking around, goofing around, and having a delightful dinner, that was something that
was
really
awesome.
powered me up.
How long has it been since I last seen you, Biko, before that? I don't even remember. When was the last time? Yeah, the draft.
The draft.
Then. So it's been at least almost 3 months.
Early October.
And so I was up in New York
Correct.
City for a tech conference, and afterwards I was like, hey, I've got nothing else to do. I'm in the middle of New York City. I'm in the heart of New York City with nowhere to go and no one to see. And who else would I want to see but my great friend, Biko Scala? And we were trying to plan out a few different things. Biko was really trying to live at large. He was trying to be like, you're in New York. We got to get the best of the best. We want Brazilian steakhouse, so you want some Italian. And eventually we kind of just came to the conclusion of like, hey, man, let's just meet up and walk around and find something. And, we ended up in Koreatown and just checked out this little udon restaurant, which was perfect. It was delicious. And then we just kind of fooled around a little bit more after that, walked around. It was fantastic. I had such a great time. That was really the first time I've ever wandered around a city kind of by myself. I traveled by myself and really didn't have any plans other than that. And it was honestly a magical time. Being up in New York at Christmas, feeling the cold weather, but not freezing, not snowing. Fantastic time. Fantastic time. Thank you so much for meeting up with me, Beef.
Oh, absolutely my pleasure. I then had the leftovers from our get-together yesterday for lunch, so it's basically like I relived the entire event 3 days later, and just pounded some more serotonin straight into the brain. So yeah, it was awesome. Truly delightful. Goofy time with big time Chad in the city that never sleeps. It's always great to hop on the path, take a trip under the Hudson, take a trip back. I also finished Severance because of that. Watched an episode on the way in, episode on the way back. Finished the last two in bed that night. Oh boy, that's a recommendation for everybody who's in the Apple TV world. Ooh, 9 episodes. That was a sweet season of television. Ooh, yeah, that's some good stuff. Josh, you haven't Severanced yet, I don't think. Chad, have you Severanced yet?
I'm so tapped out on television, dude. I cannot watch multi-episode series. I'm awful at it. The Curse was the only thing that I've really been watching, and even then I have no updates since then. I
still have not seen The Curse.
To watch any episodes.
Beautiful. Well, what's on the agenda for you rapscallions for the rest of this night? What do you have cooking up this weekend?
Me and Josh are going cruising next week, so I'm getting ready for that.
Oh, that's actually really good. We should mention that we will not have a podcast next week because Josh and Chad will be in international waters and bouncing around the Bahamas. So we'll be back, we'll have to do some kind of Christmas extravaganza the day before, day after, something like that, we can squeeze in like a special holiday rain delay podcast and talk about the cruise and then also how everybody's holiday season is going.
Yeah, I love that idea. I'm pretty gung-ho about it. Speaking of the holiday season, by the way, as we record this episode,
Here it is.
Today is the final day of Hanukkah. And Biko, I would love to know how your 2023 Hanukkah has gone.
Well, absolutely amazing. I've had a really wild and crazy 8 days and now turning into an 8th night here. I have not lit candles, which is, this is the first time in ages, maybe the first time in my life I haven't lit a candle for Hanukkah at some point. So that's unfortunately, that's bad. That's a bad job by me. But I did have a delightful little Hanukkah dinner, as we say, with my mom, my grandma, my great aunt, and great uncle, and Baruch, and my stepdad. So that was really delightful. I had my latkes, through the sour cream. You get the applesauce on. You have some bites with the sour cream. You have some bites with the applesauce. You have some where you mix them both together. Some brisket, a little kugel. I mean, a little beet salad. The whole 9 yards. My Aunt Lynn spared no expenses when it came to our Hanukkah dinner. And then also that same night got to see Baruch's final Rock Academy performance, which was a Bad Brains concert, which is some like early punk and ended up leading into a lot of inspiration for metal. So that was a rockin' time. So that I'd say that's like the highlight of my Hanukkah, was that little dinner parlayed into the Rock Academy, which for anybody who's wondering what the Rock Academy is, it's literally like Jack Black's School of Rock. Like that is what it is, but you're actually seeing it in real life, which is a riot. So yeah, my Hanukkah's been absolutely delightful. And then our roommates are in the Dominican Republic right now. So Lauren and I kind of have our whole apartment to ourselves. So we've just been goofing around, and that's part of why I'm just cooking up all these wild meals every night, which is probably what I should do very soon here, or else I will be in trouble. But thank you for asking about my 2023 Hanukkah. I appreciate that.
Hanukkah,
I'm overjoyed to ask,
Hanukkah
man.
media that you consume, because other than Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights, that's the only Hanukkah thing I could ever think of. But, I mean, there's Christmas, like movies, shows, everything, music. Is there anything like that
there was
you are connected to?
Ben Schwartz on Netflix created like a latkes song that I really loved. And I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but it's just all about him eating like 100 latkes. It's a fun little cartoon song. That's enjoyable. I didn't play dreidel this year, so there was no dreidel. My mom did give me some gelt that I passed around to some folks, so I've got some gelt in my life. But as far as media, there's nothing really in particular that we would watch. I mean, like the movies that came to my mind aren't actual Hanukkah vibes. In fact, they're usually pretty sad. But yeah, there's you just think
like
of,
Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights?
You start thinking of. Never seen it.
Fair enough.
Yep, but I'm intrigued. I love the Hanukkah song by Adam Sandler.
That's a good one.
That was one of my favorites. Rod Carew. He converted. So it's a lot of good stuff. O.J. Simpson, not a Jew, to quote Adam Sandler.
Harrison Ford's a quarter Jew, not too shabby.
Yeah, it's good stuff. You can always watch the Dave Chappelle race draft. That's a good piece of Hanukkah content. See the Jewish people draft Lenny Kravitz. There's I'm sure there is a lot of Hanukkah content out in the world, but and maybe I'll be in trouble with my mom when she watches / listens to this and tells me like all of the Hanukkah content that we consumed growing up. But currently I can't really think of any of it. Like I think of like Fiddler on the Roof, or why I said the content that I think of is just sad is Schindler's List. That doesn't have anything to do with
It's got a thing or two, but I mean, loose themes.
Correct. Yeah.
Loose connections.
Right. So anyway. Yeah,
Nope.
But it was a delightful Hanukkah this year.
Nice.
Do you have any traditions outside of your dinner that you do for Hanukkah every year?
No, and normally I cook one up. I've cooked one up like 2 of the past 4 years or so down in the city for some pals, but it just never came together this year, and I had my family Hanukkah dinner, so that kind of did the job for me. Lauren last year gave me a present on every single day, which was a flashback to my childhood. My mom did do that for myself and Baruch, so that was sweet back in the day. And delightful. It's just great waking up every day and having a present for 8 straight days. This year, my mom Venmo'd me my Hanukkah present.
Nice.
As well as my birthday present, which is close. Which is that's the perfect present.
Just
True.
one lump
There's really
sum,
nothing I could rather
spread
than
it
that.
out over 8 days.
for Hanukkah dinner, shrimp and tofu. Exactly, Bruce. That's a perfect. I should on the last night of Hanukkah cook up some shrimp. That my ancestors would really enjoy
Shrimp
that.
kosher?
Yeah, but
Okay.
no, not at all. But I'm Jewish, so I'm on a seafood diet.
I already made that joke like 2 episodes.
Seafood and I eat it. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. That's a classic of mine as well.
Oh, of yours.
I did, but Chad's the original on this podcast, so yeah, it's kind of a harken back a couple episodes. Anyway, I don't want to hold you guys. I've got to get to cooking. You really enjoy your time on this cruise. I will miss you. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be 5 wild, crazy days and 4 wild and crazy nights. And then we'll be able to chop it all up the week of Christmas, and I'll get the recap, as will the world.
Expect me to come back and tell the story of probably singing karaoke with Devin a couple of times, which, by the way, speaking of karaoke, I did share last week that I would say who I sung karaoke with at the rail doing Islands in the Stream with. I can't forget to do it. And the big grand reveal is that I sung it with our good friend Caprice. That is who I sung
Caprice?
Islands in the
my
Stream
God.
with.
They're in the chat right now.
Who made an appearance on
that's
this
amazing.
podcast.
They didn't,
Yep. That warms
spoil
the
the
heart.
surprise. Thank you, Caprice. Sounds wonderful. Speaking
Legend.
of karaoke, we can't
Legendary
just
Bananas
end it
Insider.
yet. I
K
promised
Clubber.
last week also that we'd carry on the tradition of singing a song.
Oh, yeah.
I do have a little ditty for everybody, but I've wrote it in a way to where it does transition into the very end of the show. So I just want to make sure that we have gotten everything off our chest. Let's run through this really quick just to make sure there's no other topics we want to talk about. It might be a minute before we can do another show. Let's make sure we got everything off our chest.
Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm ready. I'm ready for to play ourselves out. This has been delightful. Thank you everybody who watched live with us, including Caprice,
Josh?
who's back in here, and Steve, who's fired up to
No
get
qualms,
this big
Josh?
reveal.
The last thing I should get off my chest, more so to Biko than anyone else, I think I neglected to tell him today, set a new record for lowest rarity score in my Immaculate Grid career. I got a 2 rarity score today.
Oh, you're a sick man, Josh. You're a sick man.
Yeah.
He was very excited to show us that this morning.
It was
Congratulations.
a fun one. Thank you. Thank you very
Now
much.
we hunt for the one.
Right there.
Yep. I'm going to cry when that happens.
Oh, I know. I'll cry for you, too. Okay, Chad, what is our episode for the 5th episode of the Rain Delay Podcast grand finale
All right,
musical
guys,
performance?
Make sure you follow along with what I'm putting down at the very end of this, okay? Because if we can make this work, it's going to be amazing. All right, ready?
Okay.
So I almost wanted to make this feel kind of like poetry. I'm not nearly musically inclined as Josh Talevsky is, and Biko, you have some bones in you as well. So
Yeah, 5th and 6th grade all county chorus, baby.
congratulations. But just
Never
keep that
forget.
in mind for what you are about to hear. All right, let me remember
Okay,
the
sounds good.
beat that I put this to. All right. 1, 2.
Yep.
It's
Metronome's
that
going.
time of day for the rain delay, where Biko, Josh, and Chad have something to say. So Biko is this guy who's living in NY. If he was a sandwich, he'd be hot pastrami. Why Jewish? It's that time of day for the rain delay, where Biko, Josh, and Chad have something to say. Now, Josh is the one who has the most fun while dancing with his shirt off after he has drank a ton. It's that time of day where the rain delay, where
It
Biko,
is.
Josh, and Chad have something to say. And then there is
Say.
Chad,
whose singing skills are bad, who has a hard time making friends from problems with his dad. It's that time of day for the rain delay, where Biko doesn't have something to say.
I hope it's not a crime to sing this cheesy rhyme, but that's all I've got, so it's see you later time. Come on, boys. We'll see you later! See you later!
Dad problems.
Daddy problems. I need therapy.